that if you walk past the old temple of Phra Khanong late at night, you can still hear her. A woman calling for her husband, waiting, still waiting, after more than 100 years. Her name was Nak, and this is the story of the most beloved and the most feared ghost in all of Thailand. Welcome back to Haunted Thailand. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and stay with me until the end, because this one is a love story, and that's exactly what makes it so terrifying. Our story begins in the 1800s in a quiet village called Phra Khanong on the outskirts of what is now Bangkok. Back then, it was nothing but rice fields, wooden houses on stilts, and a slow brown canal winding through the trees. In that village lived a young woman named Nak, and she was, by every account, kind, gentle, and deeply in love. The man she loved was named Mak, and he loved her just as fiercely. They married, and soon after, Nak learned she was carrying their first child. For a short while, life was perfect. But this was Siam, in a time of war. And the kingdom was calling its young men to fight. Mak was conscripted, ordered to leave his pregnant wife and march to war. On the morning he left, Nak held onto him and begged him to come home. "Whatever happens," she told him, "I will wait for you." She had no idea how true those words would become. Mak marched away, and in the months that followed, the war was cruel to him. He was gravely wounded. For a long time, he lay near death in a temple far from home, nursed slowly back to life by the monks. But back in the village, something far worse had happened. Nak's time came. She went into labor. And in that era, with no doctors, no medicine, only the hands of the village midwife, the birth went wrong. Terribly wrong. Nak died that night, and her baby died with her. The villagers buried them together, quietly, beneath the trees near the temple. And they grieved for the sweet young woman who never got to see her husband again. But Nak did not accept it. Her love was too strong, her longing too deep. Somewhere in the cold, dark earth, something refused to let go. She had made a promise. "I will wait for you." And a promise like that does not die so easily. Months later, Mac finally recovered, and he came home. He walked back into Phra Khanong at dusk, and there, waiting on the porch of their little house, was Nak, smiling, holding their baby in her arms. Mac wept with joy. His wife was alive. His child was born. Everything he had prayed for during those long nights of war had come true. They lived together again, just like before. Nak cooked for him, sang to their baby, welcomed him home each evening. Mac never questioned it. Why would he? But the villagers knew. The people of Phra Khanong were terrified. They knew Nak had died. They had buried her with their own hands. And now she was walking among them again, cooking, smiling, raising a child that should never have drawn breath. One neighbor tried to warn Mac, to tell him the truth about the woman sleeping beside him. That neighbor was found dead the next morning. And then came the moment that Thai people still whisper about today.
One evening, Nak was on the porch, preparing a meal. She was making nam prik, a chili paste ground in a mortar. And as she worked, she dropped a lime through a gap in the floorboards to the ground below. Now, any normal person would have to walk down the steps to fetch it. But Mok, watching from inside, saw his wife stretch her arm down through the floor, longer and longer and longer, reaching all the way to the ground below to pick up that lime, before drawing her arm back up as though nothing had happened. In that single, silent moment, Mok understood. The woman he had been living with, the woman he had held every night, the mother of his child, was dead. Mok said nothing. He did not scream. He knew that if she realized he had seen, he would never leave that house alive. That night, he waited until she slept, and then, heart pounding, he slipped out and ran. But you cannot outrun the dead. Nok awoke. She found him gone. And her love, her endless aching love, turned to fury. She rose into the night and hunted him through the darkness, her cries echoing across the rice fields. Mac ran to the one place he prayed she could not follow, a temple. He threw himself behind the sacred walls, clinging to the robes of the monks, as outside, the spirit of his wife howled his name. Section 7. The Haunting. She's not just chasing Mac anymore. But Nok's rage did not end with Mac. Grief-stricken and betrayed, her spirit began to terrorize the entire village. The people who had buried her, the people who had tried to take her husband away. No one felt safe after dark. They called in exorcists, holy men. One after another tried to lay her spirit to rest, and one after another, they failed. Some say she destroyed them. Phra Khanong lived in terror of the ghost who only ever wanted one thing, to be with the man she loved. Section 8. The legend ends, or does it? Finally, the legend says, a powerful monk came to Phra Khanong, a master of the sacred arts, and he did what no one else could. In some versions of the tale, he captured her restless spirit inside a clay pot, sealed it, and cast it into the canal. In others, he bound her power into a piece of her own skull bone, worn as a talisman, so her spirit could finally find peace. Nok was gone. And yet, to this day in Bangkok, there stands a shrine to Mae Nak, Mother Nok, at the temple of Wat Mahabut in the district of Phra Khanong. Every single day, people come to visit her. They bring her gifts, dresses, toys for her baby, makeup, sweet perfume. They ask her for luck, for love, for protection. Because in Thailand, Mae Nak is not just a monster in a story. She is real. She is honored. And they believe she is still listening. So the next time you walk past a quiet temple in Bangkok, late at night, and you hear a woman softly calling for her husband, do not answer her. She has already waited long enough. If this story gave you chills, subscribe to Haunted Thailand, because next week, something is going to be flying through the night sky, and it's only got half a body. Sleep well, if you can.